I'm part of an all-women female filmmaking program called Glassbaker Films, and we make short 5 to 10 minute web documentaries for the investigations that go on in our newsroom. Also, we produce our own videos ourselves, so we'll research, shoot, edit, and publish them all on our own. A residency is like a short-term contract with an organization. So like kind of like an internship, but we get paid on salary. So we're making a decent living, and we're only with the Center for Investigative Reporting for 10 months, unless that gets extended, which hopefully it does. And we basically had a class of 50 students that tackled 13 different stories about why people stay in the Appalachian region despite the fact that it's going through these economic problems. One specific video about the old man who used to be a coal miner was like kind of like the intro to the story, because he talked so much about what it was like to like have to leave coal mining and like still lives in the town he grew up in. A lot of it was just talking to people, and like, I mean, all these communities along the road are really small. They're like towns of less than 1,000 people. And so obviously everyone knew we were like outsiders, because they were like, who are these people with cameras? So a lot of people were curious about us, but we wanted to kind of take the reader on like as if they were traveling down the road themselves and being like meeting these characters as they were driving down the road. And so I think from the get-go, we knew we wanted this to be like an experiential story for the reader, and we knew that using photos, audio, and video would do that by like giving the viewer an option to look at a photo or listen to audio, or to like sit back and like watch a short video. So that was our thinking. But I think it was difficult to relate to them and to approach them and not feel like we were just like taking advantage of their story. But once we like got over that fear and like started talking to people, it was a lot easier, and you realize like how kind and like willing to talk people are as long as you ask. That story was like literally I'm just on the road and I'm talking to strangers every second I get. And it was almost exhausting in a way, because you're like, you have to be really aware of like every person that's around you and the fact that they all have a story that's worth telling. You just have to like put the energy in to talk to them. So I think I learned that there's a lot of value in just like being really present with all the people you're around all the time, because you never know what story you're going to come across if you just like say hello and talk to someone. But that's just like, I feel like when media comes in and they don't know what it's like to be a part of that community, that's all they see. And they see depression, and they see like lack of education and lack of access to good things, which are all true. But there's also like real people that like have relationships and fall in love and play soccer and like care about their future and end up like getting out of that situation. So it's like, it's hard with mass media when you have to like just get that story really fast and like relate it to the bigger picture, which is right now it's Donald Trump, to like get at those nuances. So that, I mean, I'm a firm believer that we need to invest more in our local media, because without that, we're going to lose those like human stories that exist in these towns that are often portrayed as one-layered. I mean, I definitely am a firm believer that seeing someone's face and hearing their voice and like just witnessing their life in a video or in a photograph where you're looking at a moment for like a still moment for a long period of time, that helps people empathize. And I think without empathy, like the work we do as journalists is like, we're not doing our job if we're not helping our audience understand and empathize with the stories of the people we're telling. And I do think that print and visuals work together. Like, they're, without the written context and all the data that backs up these stories, the visuals fall flat because they're missing a lot of context. But then I also think that print stories, without those human faces and those like emotions that come along with that data and those like very contextual heavy writing, then you're losing like the emotional aspect of a story that could really grab a viewer to care about that data. So I just think they have different roles and they should always work together, which is why being a multimedia journalist I feel like right now, especially in our industry, is like so key to be able to wear multiple hats, but also to be able to like be really good at one thing and like own that thing. So you have to really like push your editors and push your organization to give you a lot of time to spend with them. Like we'll travel, like I probably spend, at this job, we spend a week at a time with the people we film. And even then, that's like nothing compared to what, for visuals, you have to be able to get at those like nuanced moments by just like being patient and observing and like really listening to people.